The movie opens in a bleak vision of Los Angeles in 2029. Widespread unemployment, rising homelessness, and explosive civil unrest have pushed the city into a full-blown crime epidemic. Prisons are dangerously overcrowded. And so, authorities establish restricted red zones to isolate violent offenders. Even with those measures in place, hundreds of police officers lose their lives every single day on duty. In response, the government rolls out the Mercy Court, an advanced artificial intelligence system that serves simultaneously as judge, jury, and executioner. Trials are completed in mere hours, rather than dragging on for months or years. The AI always begins by assuming the suspect is guilty, unless overwhelming proof demonstrates otherwise. After just 2 years of operation, the system has executed 18 individuals, reduced crime rates by an impressive 68%, saved billions in taxpayer dollars, and restored a sense of safety for many citizens. We then shift to Detective Chris Raven, a seasoned LAPD officer who was one of the strongest advocates for creating the Mercy program. He awakens strapped securely to the infamous Mercy chair inside a stark, impersonal courtroom. A slick promotional video plays on the large screen directly in front of him, highlighting the system's speed and efficiency in delivering justice. Suddenly, the AI Judge Maddox materializes on the display. She is calm, precise, and completely devoid of human emotion. Maddox declares that the trial may now proceed because Chris's blood alcohol level has finally returned to a safe range. And he has been unconscious for nearly 6 hours. She requires him to swear an oath to tell nothing but the truth. Then she reveals the charges. Chris stands accused of murdering his wife, Nicole. Body camera footage begins to play. A team of officers enters Chris's home and discovers Nicole on the floor, bleeding heavily from stab wounds, with their young daughter Britt crying beside her in terror. When the officers ask Nicole who attacked her, she manages to whisper Chris's name before losing consciousness. Chris watches the video in absolute horror and begins to panic as his own name echoes through the speakers. Maddox points out that he was alone in the house with Nicole at the precise time of the stabbing. Desperate to understand, Chris uses the interface to search the municipal cloud, the vast, mandatory database that connects every person, device, and company in the city. He quickly sees his name dominating every news headline as the prime suspect. Maddox reminds him that he and his partner Jack were instrumental in capturing the very first criminal tried under Mercy, a man named David, which helped prove the system's value. Chris immediately pleads not guilty. However, Maddox has already processed all available evidence and calculated his guilt probability at 97.5%. To survive, he must reduce that figure below 92% within the next 90 minutes. A countdown timer appears prominently on the screen. Chris gains unrestricted access to the entire Los Angeles municipal cloud, including cameras, phone records, emails, social media, and more. If he fails, the chair will execute him with a fatal sonic pulse. Maddox begins presenting the evidence methodically. Chris arrived at his workplace at 8:51 a.m., but never exited his vehicle. Instead, he drove directly home. Doorbell camera footage shows Nicole refusing to open the door for him. She tells him to communicate only through a lawyer. In frustration, Chris punches the camera lens before using his own keys to force entry. Nicole attempts to push him back outside just before the door closes completely. He remains inside the house for 26 minutes. Shortly after he departs, Britt returns home from a sleepover and lets out a terrified scream upon discovering her mother. Forensic analysis indicates that Nicole was stabbed by a right-handed assailant. A single deep wound was sufficient to chip her spine and pierce her liver. Fresh traces of Nicole's blood are present on Chris's clothing. After leaving the house, Chris heads to a nearby bar where he drinks heavily. Security footage captures a heavily intoxicated Chris fighting with arresting officers, getting tased, attempting to steal a random civilian's car, and ultimately being subdued and knocked unconscious. Chris insists he has no memory of these events and attributes the blackout entirely to alcohol. He requests to speak with Britt, but the rules exclude juveniles as witnesses unless special grieving messages are sent. Chris struggles to find the right words, so Maddox sends an automated message on his behalf. He also receives a pre-recorded video from Rob, his sponsor from Alcoholics Anonymous. Rob, who worked alongside Nicole, reprimands Chris for not reaching out during his recent urges to drink. Rob is the one who alerted police when Nicole failed to appear for her shift. Maddox then reviews the couple's background. Chris and Nicole began dating 20 years earlier and married after 3 years together. Their daughter Britt was born a year later. Life remained happy until Chris lost his former partner Ray in the line of duty. That tragedy drove him back into alcoholism, slowly destroying the family. Nicole began contemplating divorce. Her private messages to friends and family reveal that Chris lost his temper violently 57 times over the previous 6 months. A hidden social media video posted by Britt shows her confiding in a friend that her mother cries frequently and her father becomes aggressive often. Britt calls in the midst of an emotional breakdown. Chris reassures her that he is innocent and that this is all a terrible mistake. Her grandfather intervenes and forces her to end the call abruptly. Only 1 hour and 8 minutes remain on the clock. Chris contacts his current partner Jack, who is still at the crime scene. He examines case files on the screen while Jack provides a virtual walkthrough of the house. In the living room, a broken vase suggests a possible defensive struggle. In the kitchen, Britt's bloody footprints and blood splatters on the wall indicate a fierce fight. A broken plate shows Nicole tried to defend herself. One knife is missing from a set that matches the murder weapon, though Chris's fingerprints appear on other knives from everyday cooking. Fibers, hair, skin cells, and DNA all link back to him. Chris recalls seeing Nicole texting after their argument, but no such activity appears on her primary phone. He asks about a potential work phone. Maddox was unaware of its existence. Using Chris's call logs, she obtains the number. Jack locates the device ringing inside Nicole's car outside the house. It is a black market burner phone unregistered to the municipal cloud. The only communications on it lead to another unregistered number. Maddox dials it. The recipient hangs up upon hearing her voice, but the location is traced. Jack speeds toward it on her high-tech flying bike. For the moment, Chris's guilt probability drops sharply to 0.8% because he had prior knowledge of Nicole's secrets. At a local hotel, a man named Patrick attempts to flee through the back exit. A tense chase unfolds as he briefly evades capture by entering a camera-free zone. A police drone eventually spots him on the roof. Officers tackle him, and he is apprehended after a fall to a lower level. Patrick insists he is innocent and ran only because he feared being wrongly blamed. He confesses to flirting with Nicole and going on a few casual dates, but nothing physical ever happened. She wanted privacy for their conversations. So, he provided the burner phones. Security footage from their meetings confirms his account. His alibi holds firm. He was at work the entire day. The revelation provides Chris with a clear motive for murder, causing his guilt probability to spike back up to 98%. Chris then admits that Nicole discovered a hidden bottle of alcohol in his car that very day. He has been secretly drinking again for the past year. Flashbacks fill in more context. Sometime earlier, Nicole caught Chris drinking alone in the garage, and he lashed out at her in anger. That incident forced him to confront his problem. He attended AA meetings and connected with Rob, who supported his sobriety for a period. However, the loss of Ray devastated him deeply. In one painful memory, Ray and Chris prepare to approach a suspect in a vehicle. Chris receives a call from Nicole, so Ray steps out alone to handle the situation. The criminal shoots Ray and rams his vehicle into the police car, crushing him. Chris rushes Ray back into their car and pursues the suspect relentlessly. He rams the criminal's car, causing it to flip and crash. Despite the arrest, the suspect, David, is later acquitted in a mercy trial. Chris has carried deep regret ever since, wishing he had shot the man when he had the opportunity. Chris reconstructs his day for Maddox. After discovering the missing bottle at work, he drove home in a rage. The argument escalated, and he smashed a vase Nicole cherished purely out of spite. Shards from the vase cut her slightly, explaining the small amount of her blood on his clothes. Everything after that is a blackout. He has no recollection. Patrick mentions that Nicole was under intense stress at her job because chemicals had gone missing from Viking Shipping Depot. She was quietly investigating her co-workers. Chris dispatches Jack to the company warehouse. Now footage from a recent barbecue shows Rob's car carrying extra passengers. The neighbor's security camera suffered an outage, but archived footage is processing. Britt's secret social media video carries a timestamp proving her emotional rant occurred while Chris was still at work, meaning he could not have caused Nicole's tears that night. Britt calls again, now furious after seeing his arrest footage online. She knows about his secret drinking and questions whether he truly is guilty. Her grandfather tries to end the call, but Maddox overrides it since it is part of the trial. Chris asks what she heard the previous night. Britt describes hearing her mother cry and strange noises throughout the house. Her video shows her searching. The basement door stands ajar, which is unusual. She insists she never went down there. Chris enhances the image and spots a mysterious hand gripping the doorknob. Someone from the barbecue never left and hid in the basement for 2 full days. On deep dives into Nicole's company servers uncover faked stock records concealing the theft of 300 kilograms of uragranules, a chemical used in fertilizers, skincare, and highly profitable illegal substances popular in red zones. A cryptic email arranged a private meeting at the docks. Security footage captures Nicole arguing heatedly with a co-worker named Holt. He pleads for more time and promises not to involve police. She refuses, citing her job security. Holt throws items in frustration. Our financial records show Holt is a gambling addict drowning in debt. Rob has been quietly covering his losses. Guilt probability falls to 94.7%. Chris calls Rob, but Holt answers instead. Holt cannot locate Rob and seems evasive. He eventually confesses that Rob orchestrated the theft. Feeling indebted for past favors, Holt tried to help cover it up with Nicole. Rob left the barbecue early and stayed behind after asking Holt to drive others home. Maddox tracks Rob's work truck, license plates removed. In newly uploaded neighbor footage, Rob emerges from the trunk of a parked car. Rob's house yields hidden chemicals, burned documents, and a manual on turning uragranules into explosives. An old torn photo reveals Rob and David, the first Mercy-executed criminal, were brothers separated by adoption. Rob befriended Chris after David's death as part of a long revenge plot. The truck speeds downtown. The bomb's target is the courthouse itself. A hidden passenger sits beside Rob. Security cameras show Britt has been kidnapped and is in the vehicle. Rob's house explodes with a smaller device. The bulk of chemicals remain in the truck for a citywide blast. Guilt probability finally reaches 0%. Maddox offers to halt the trial, but Chris insists on continuing access to stop Rob and save lives. A massive police pursuit ensues. Rob dodges roadblocks repeatedly, ramming civilian and patrol vehicles alike. News helicopters capture the chaos. A SWAT helicopter attempts to lower an agent onto the truck, but Rob maneuvers wildly to prevent it. Jack orders her team to open fire despite Britt's presence inside. A remote explosive device fails to detonate under the truck, possibly due to interference. The truck smashes directly into the courthouse building. Power flickers out. The execution chair switches to backup battery. In the lobby, Rob holds Britt as a human shield while shooting at guards who approach. Maddox reboots just in time and halts the execution with seconds to spare. Chris frees himself, grabs a bulletproof vest from a fallen officer, and heads to confront Rob. Maddox appears on nearby screens and offers Rob the opportunity to publicly clear David's name. Rob insists he was on the phone with David during the original murder, but no phone was recovered from the scene. While Rob argues with Maddox, Britt bites his arm hard enough to break free. Chris lunges forward and the two men grapple fiercely for the detonator. Chris rips out key cables to disable it, then kicks the gun from Rob's hand. He picks up the weapon and aims it at Rob, tempted to avenge Nicole once and for all. Britt pleads tearfully for him not to pull the trigger. Rob desperately claims he spoke to a woman at the precinct who promised to review David's call logs. Maddox verifies the records. Someone accessed and then hid evidence of the call. Chris realizes it was Jack who arrested David originally. She took the phone from evidence and disposed of it in a river. Under pressure from Maddox's analysis, Jack confesses. She altered evidence to guarantee David's conviction and prove Mercy Court's effectiveness to the public, ensuring the system's survival and the city's safety. Chris declares firmly that what society truly needs is real justice. Not manufactured wins, he instructs other officers to arrest Jack immediately. Chris rushes to embrace Britt in relief. Maddox confronts the reality that she executed an innocent man in David. She questions her own programming and purpose. Chris reassures her that artificial intelligence, much like humans, is capable of making grave mistakes, and both must learn and improve from them. That was an absolute thrill ride from start to finish.